Hi Virgos, and welcome to your May 2023 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about your month ahead. I hope you all are doing really well and enjoying this time of the year. As usual in this reading, I will be doing some intuitive messages followed by a week-to-week tarot forecast and an extended reading on Patreon, linked below. If the reading resonates, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. And let's get into it, Virgos. So intuitively for May, legendary growth. This major Taurus stellium is going to be really incredible for you. You're growing past a certain trauma point, maybe beyond the point of no return. So there are going to be certain traumas, difficulties, and hardships that you will not be able to go back to, basically, coming out of May. No longer will certain difficulties be there. No longer will you have certain things on your plate. Although there is definitely a big push coming in May to make it this way. So yes, you have the 10 of Wands coming up in your reading, the 8 of Pentacles, the 5 of Pentacles. I feel that you guys have something like, it's not that it's the worst thing to do. It's not like it's that bad, but in order to get all of this growth that's coming in with this 6 different planets, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Jupiter, Uranus, North Node, and Taurus trining you, whatever you have in Virgo, it's going to mean that like a lot opens up and a lot of fertility comes in energetically. So this is a really good time for fertility, growing new ideas, also pregnancy as well. You have the Empress coming up in your reading, any form of gestalt, any form of bringing long-term ideas to fruition, growing something new, growing new seeds as well, is likely, with the 8 of Pentacles also representing an abundance of growth and an abundance of different, so sort of like mini rods in the fire. Also with the Page of Wands and the Emperor. So this is a really incredible time for any type of conception, of new ideas. And for those of you who've been wanting to change your life, this is where that magic happens, or where that process, or where that strong change is basically conceived, with the Emperor and the Empress coming together as well. Quite incredible, actually. It's a really good time for that, and I think that maybe it won't come through in May. It's not like a birthing energy here in May, so these ideas may not be coming to fruition. You may not be launching your business. You may not be like at the finish line, but you are really stepping into a certain timeline that likely will see you having some type of major growth, life change, or difference later this year. Okay, you also have the major choice coming up this month of like 5 of Pentacles versus Page of Wands. The very cold, perhaps even familiar or sort of stereotypically impoverished path versus the creative, warm, full of ingenuity path. I do feel there's a crossroads coming up for you this month, and you definitely want to follow the latter. So definitely being able to identify what is like a sort of like barren or rigid or non-fertile ground in your life, what's not producing anymore, what's not really giving you a life-generating force. Also, what's like burning you out. I mean, the 10 of Wands and the 5 of Pentacles, it's a gross combination. It's like working so hard just to have not very much. Okay, so a lot of you might be having a career change, or you might sort of be in the process of creating your own business or creating your own sort of independent venture. Or some of you might also have a business that you're like burned out with, or it's a matter of like having already achieved independence and needing to like change what that looks like, or needing to kind of modify that part of your life as well, which seems like a difficult thing that a lot of people are going through right now. It's like, okay, I've done what I initially set out for, and it's like a secure, stable thing, but I've also like done it. Do I want to keep doing it, or do I want like a new, zesty, kind of like more unpredictable path? Okay, with that Uranus trine and the North Node being in Taurus and Mercury and Jupiter, it's all like later this month, it's all really kind of like turning the stubborn, stability-oriented sign of Taurus on its head and asking like, why don't you like change everything? Why don't you try something you never tried before? Why don't you find a sense of stability and material abundance within something different or something fresh? So fresh is, I think, your key word this month, Virgo. Try to seek fresh things and allow that to grow into a new sort of like birth of fruition and abundance for you. Talking about the week to week, in the first week, of course, you have that Eight of Pentacles rooted down by the Five of Pentacles. Structure. You're structuring a new creative path. Some of you are like kind of in that place where like you start the new business, but it's not like really generating a result yet. And that can feel kind of like you have to really cut back, or you have to sometimes work without some type of like accommodation or without being compensated as well. So take a look at your compensation. Like, are you being compensated well for your time? Do you see this in the future compensating you more? I feel like a lot of you aren't being compensated because the Eight of Pentacles is about labor of love and working really hard to create something really special. Is it giving back? Are other people benefiting from it and you're not? Are there people who are kind of like leveraging your creative ability to their benefit and not really letting you in on that benefit? Take a look at where your benefits are and try to warm it up a little bit and step away from that barren and cold Five of Pentacles path. Like in these stories, right? Like, but everybody has to do this. Everybody has to be like, you know, employed, or, you know, sort of like the blood, sweat, and tears has to be, you know, divvied up to the higher ups or something like that. That's kind of catchy, isn't it? The blood, sweat, and tears divvied up to the higher ups. Okay, that's kind of scary, but maybe some of you are feeling something like that at that time. Week number 2, the Two of Pentacles rooted down by the Empress. Okay, redesigning fertility in your life. Some of you might be having like fertility treatments. Some of you might be also like, again, this can manifest in a lot of ways, like fertilizing your garden or finding new ways to grow your own gardens, growing your own foods, growing your own abundance from the ground rather than like trying to get it from another person. Okay. That's a really special secret that maybe only the earth signs can understand about this period of time when we have this huge Taurus stellium, is that we can actually do a lot with our abundance with what's like already coming from the ground instead of like trying to make relationships. Okay. Not that relationships will ever not play a part in abundance, but maybe we can adjust that sliding scale a little bit and have a little less relationship oriented abundance grids. But you have a decision to make about this type of thing, like relationships or like the ground that I stand on. I think that a lot of you are adjusting how much you're around other people in the second week of May. Like the way you philosophize about social relationships might change. Also, I feel that you're going to have to make some kind of decision about how often you're with friends, how often you're with family, how often you're, it could be too little or too much depending on the Virgo, to the extent that it's like affecting your abundance, you know, like always going out and spending all of your money at like clubs or something. Also like never going out and being a little bit crazy in the mind because of it. Okay, like really getting back into a balance with that social sector of the brain. Okay, week number 3, the Ten of Wands rooted down by the Emperor. Tragedies. Okay, tragic work grids, having to like do too much, being so good at your job that you never get promoted because you do like what you do too well, and it's so stable that no one wants to change anything. That's something that I've identified for like the past 3 years is very easy to be in energetically, like being that really hard, diligent worker and like basically people milking that, or like other people just being so happy that that's who you are, you know, because it like benefits them or they don't have to work as hard. And like you might be thinking that like, wow, I'm really going to get the promotion here because I'm doing the hard work. Or you might be thinking that like by having this sort of like, you know, Protestant work ethic, or by proving to everybody around me that I, you know, work even more than others, or I put in, you know, 2 people's worth of work with my one body. Through that, I'm going to ascend into the Emperor state, or I'm going to gain more authority, or it's going to pay me back later. It does sometimes happen, but in the current paradigm that we're in, it's much more likely to be more of a solidifying thing. Ever since 2020, we've been in this like weird energetic paradigm where like whatever we're doing with our physical body is what's trying to like solidify for a very long time. So if you're in Ten of Wands, it's basically going to become like your caricature and your reputation and your personality. there can be benefits to that, but who is going to want that person who's such a hard worker and throws their back out for everyone else? Who's going to want to put them on the throne? Okay. What's the point? Like, if they're establishing themselves so well as a, hard worker, why would they not do hard work if they're so good at it? That is very toxic, and it's a really terrible thing that's happening. That it's certainly endemic in history and human relations. But I just want, Virgo's a sign that works really hard. And you might want to get more leverage now, okay? You might want to subordinates to help you carry these 10 wands instead of doing it all yourself. You might want to just step away from all those 10 wands and go find your throne, okay? Regulus is in Virgo now, right? Okay, you guys can very easily have that Emperor or Empress place, but that's not in 10 of Wands. There are like subtle ways where I suppose that people in positions of power sometimes have like the, the weight of the world or like a lot to handle, but it's more poetic or it's more symbolic than it is, obviously, physical, which could be happening to some of you too. I mean, I could interpret this group of cards as kind of like that too, like having a symbolic weight that you're carrying, or having maybe like the weight of authority or the weight of a company or the weight of like a workforce or something kind of like weighing on you, and like, how do I make things integrative for everybody? How do I make things like good for everybody? Some of you are going through that for sure. In which case, I mean, is it that different? I think it is, but I think that you have a much better chance for more of a creative or fertile receptive phase rather than having to try so hard. So I'm in the third week of May. As we're hitting Gemini season, your fellow Mercury ruled sign, it's always a good time of year for Virgos. Like that May and June period feels very calm and like, I don't know, it kind of like counterbalances you a little bit. What I would do is I would decide if like the motions that you're going through, like if you can kind of like group up your last few years, like what's something I've been doing every day? Like what is the repetitive cyclic motion here that I'm doing like with my body and my mind? Is that satisfactory to me? Do I want like a different type of like movement or motion in my life? Because basically what's happening here is your fertility, your energetic fertility can allow you to pretty much grow anything. So if you do want to change, it's going to need to start coming in now. And basically you don't want to keep fertilizing, like, for example, a workflow that you hate or a job that you hate, because it's going to grow. So just keep that in mind. Week 4, the 6 of Wands, you're done by the Page of Wands. I love that. That's very noble, regal, creative. It's lighter too. It's not as like bulky and unwieldy as these last few weeks were. This is the first 3 weeks were. I think that a lot of you might be changing location. You might be traveling more. You might be prioritizing the creative project as opposed to the like authoritative project, which feels encourageable for you all right now. But the 6 of Wands is kind of like a minor arcana version of the Emperor to me, as it's kind of like the Emperor out to the joust or out to the procession. So there could be something like that going on too. You could be going like from the throne room off to the procession from the 3rd to the 4th week of the month. I don't know. Regulus is in Virgo. The royal jargon is not totally off for you guys. It's kind of accurate now. As crazy as that sounds for like Virgo to be the sign of royalty, it is sort of becoming like that. And the tarot cards back it up, don't they? The Empress, the Emperor, the 6 of Wands. However, we've got some classic Virgo stuff here too, like the 8 of Pentacles, the 10 of Wands, and the 5 of Pentacles. So it's kind of like crazy, isn't it? It's kind of not super compatible, but it's also pretty like, what's the word? It's kind of like scary good, or it's like, it doesn't have the same like sort of lazy or even grandiose or sort of stereotypically regal energy that Leo has, for example. This is a much busier bee kind of regal energy with Virgo. And you are learning about that this month, and you are growing. And finally, Virgos, I will say that through what you do this month, you will have legendary growth. Just make sure that you're growing legendarily what you want to grow legendarily in your life. Anyway, let's talk more about that in your extended. I'll link it below. And come check out the Patreon page, Virgos. It's a great service. And you get all of the readings with their extended counterparts. And I do weekly tea chats as well. I'll get some more cards for you guys. And we'll talk more about this legendary growth. Okay. Linked below. Talk to you soon, Virgos. Have a great month. Bye.